I played 100 Days of Fields of Mistria as a completionist, and trust me, I know what you're thinking. Elle, the game is still in early access, you literally can't complete the game. And to you, I would say that's a losing mindset. And quite frankly, I'm here to win, even if what I would win is sort of unclear at the moment. Fresh off the release of the second major update, I feel like now is the perfect time to see how far I can get in Fields of Mistria within the first year, especially since we now have the ability to extend the day length. So I'm gonna see how much I can complete, whether you like it or not. I would ideally like to finish the main storyline, try to max out the town rank, reach the current bottom of the mines, complete as many museum sets as possible, and upgrade my house and potentially farm. If my skills allow, I would like to try and reach 6 hearts with all the villagers, max out all the skills and their perks. It's practically impossible to get all the animal variations and would be pretty hard to get all the legendary fish without making sacrifices in other areas of the game. So enough speculating and planning. Let's see if I can come close to any of these goals within my first 100 days. On day 1, of course, to be the absolute powerhouse I intend to be, my farm was named Incorporated Farm. Very on brand of me. Okay, I do have to say my piece. It's clearly spring when you were dropshipped into this world. I mean, it's at the very least clearly not winter. So you spend a day with the people of Mistria, learning a bit about what went down with the earthquake, and then you wake up the next day on the 1st of spring. If the world didn't have magic, I would be filing a police report straight away. But there is magic, so any corporal punishment will have to be put aside. Right away, I really miss my Miss Mare. I walk so slowly. Maybe Hayden could be a good neighbor and lend me his, but at least it did remind me that I did need to go ahead and extend the day length in the settings. No time is going to waste here, which is why I was able to complete the quest for meeting all the villagers in one day. I mean, having a map to see where the villagers are is helpful, but I choose to believe it's my raw skills. I refuse to hear otherwise. Of course, since it was the 1st of the month, I had to buy some seeds and plant them. I need the money and experience. Since I was strapped for any useful tools, I used my remaining time in the day, which was already pretty productive, thank you very much, to forage throughout the lands. And you better believe, before I laid my head down for the night, I donated what I could to the museum. As day 2 rolled around, apparently Calderus's head had rolled off his body some time ago. I feel like that would really hurt, and I'm not quite sure how he didn't have any lasting side effects. Errol informed me that I can donate to the museum, and he's clearly living in the past, which does make sense given his job, but I'm sure you've noticed I've already made a few donations. But I guess in this town, you can just chalk it up to magic. But it was me, okay? I will not let magic get the credit for my hard work, which is exactly why I made more donations so I could complete the spring flower set. I needed to assert my dominance, after which I picked up my pickaxe from Ulrich, planted a few more crops, and then did some cooking since I feel like you can never have enough energy in this game, at least early on. I found the freshwater oyster Maple was looking for clearing out the last of the quests I had. So I then turned my attention towards gathering some basic supplies, wood and stone. With his head now screwed back on, Calderus spoke to me and introduced the concept of essence. And as I went to bed for the second night, the town reached level 5, so I am making progress, even if there's no big quest for me to start. Speaking of big quests, it's now time to repair the bridge I had to jump across my first day here. I'm ready to start repairing the town, and I can appreciate I'm not the only one who's going to put in the hard work. And the meals I prepared the other day didn't really provide the abundance of energy I was looking for, so I stopped in the inn for some refreshing soup. And again, I set out trying to gather more supplies since I now had a real use for them. And would you look at that? I gathered enough to finish the bridge repairs. This town is not going to know what hit them with all this progress. But I feel like since the last thing to hit this town was the earthquake, standards are pretty low. My efforts to better the town did not stop there. I also donated some artifacts I had found along the way. You don't need a shovel to dig up those little circles on the ground. Your axe will be more than enough. Because I'm carrying the weight of the community on my back, after all, I think I am more than deserving of a bigger backpack. But such a purchase will have to be on hold because I was originally thinking I needed to upgrade the general store before I could get my first upgrade. I later learned that's not the case. The next day, I was informed it was Reese's birthday, so I of course had to give him a gift, and then I gifted the museum with some more of my finds. After which I knew I needed to step up my collecting game, so I headed over to the inn to meet with Luke. Is it Luck or Luke? Okay, wait. I have been calling him Luck in my head, but according to Google, that's wrong. I'm sorry, Luke. Please forgive me. I attempted to craft a chest for all my finds because you bet I'm collecting things even if it's not necessary. And I guess I'm not skilled enough yet, so I shifted gears back to my net and spent some time roaming the town for bugs to catch. I wanted to make Luke proud. He is one of my favorite villagers, so he deserves only the best. And during my small pockets enough for the night, I freed up some space by donating what I could to the museum once again. I've been invited to join in the festivities of the Friday night at the inn. Of course, I'll only be able to watch and not participate myself, which is kind of the same thing you're doing right now. Adeline said, "Rest is for the wicked," and I'm surely the exact opposite of being a wicked creature, since I've already made more progress in this town than they did the entire time in the wake of whatever earthquake came crashing through their town. I was tasked with helping the food supply, and as it turns out, I had some food of my own to harvest. I talked to Calderus to unlock some of the farming perks. I've got to be honest, I never really read what the perks are. I just accept whatever fate I'm dealt. But I was able to decide that I wanted to complete a quest today, so I spoke with Adeline about that food reserve quest, and while I was at it, I handed some water chestnuts over to Juniper, where against my will, I was forced to drink her stinky potion. I guess at least I did get 5 free bath visits. I don't think I ever ended up using any of those on my other save, now that I think about it. And finally, the part of the day we've all been waiting for. Friday night at the inn. I made sure to talk to everyone and read their dialogue. I have to admit, I have a really hard time not fast forwarding through dialogue, even if I have intentions of paying attention. After speaking to everyone, I made a stealthy trip to the museum, and on my way back, I tried to craft a chest, but it was just simply too late in the day. But with the start of day 6, it was not too late to check my copious amounts of mail. I got my weather ball, a letter from Eliand, a recipe, and a letter about the Saturday market. But before I could even process through some of that, I crafted another chest, a place for all my trinkets. Then of course I had to introduce myself to the market vendors. Enough chit chat though, time to get back to work. Oh, is that a legendary bug? I can only hope I'll have this much luck with the rest of the legendaries. To continue my wins, I turned in some fennel to Celine and then headed over to the mines. And I guess there's some structural problems with the mines. I don't want to end up headless like Kelderus was, so I'm fine to stay out of the mines for now. I'll just have to wait to hit stone rank, which I'm guessing won't be too long. Since I was in the area after all, I donated that speedy legendary bug and decided why not make even more donations while I was at it. Switching things up completely, I zoomed on down to the beach and bought myself a fishing rod. So naturally, I had to put it to the test and did a bit of fishing before heading home to organize my little trinkets. And would you look at that, stone rank secured. It was my first potato harvest, but even better than that, I could now continue the mines quest because of my rank. But before I went to the mines to put my life at risk, I of course made some donations on my way over. I mean, it was on the way. Who could blame me? With these small pockets, I had no other choice. Eventually, I did go over to the mines, and then I completed the dig site set. I was working on a quest for Hemlock, trying to see if I had a caterpillar handy, but I ended up finding one conveniently at Hayden's. Before I could turn in that bug to Hemlock, I once again turned more things into the museum. Then I went on over to get my rewards for catching a caterpillar. That caterpillar was not the only thing I caught though. I went on over to the ocean, did some fishing and donating, and then I fished a bit in the river, and you guessed it, I donated my findings again. And guys, I'm a mother. I mean, just look at him. Look at my cat. I named him Bot because he is kind of programmable like one, and I like to think of him as my own personal farmhand. I wasted no time assigning him to look for wood, the most precious resources in all of Fields of Mistria, or at least it feels like it. In order to provide for my new child, I went fishing for his favorite treats. Only I was probably not the best mother that day because I gave Holt the goby I caught, but at least I made it to level 4 before running out of energy. With no energy but plenty of time in the day, I cooked some more meals. And look, okay, I do feel bad for not showering Bod in gifts, because look at him, he's hard at work. That sweet, sweet sight of child labor, am I right? While I didn't gift my cat any fish, I did give Nora the clay she was looking for and March the ore he requested. But to try and make up for the crimes against cat kind, I finished the night with some more fishing. The next day was more relaxed and laid back. I bought and planted more potatoes and spent a majority of my time and energy fishing away at the ocean. Of course, I could never pass up the opportunity to donate my findings for the day. While the previous day was uneventful, the 10th starts off with a reminder of Ulrich's birthday. No birthday will go ungifted in this household. Unless it's bots, and that's a sore subject, okay? Don't bring it up. Reese showed me how to craft. Nothing like a man showing you what to do after you've been crafting for days. I brought the 10 wood he requested regardless of this. I finally turned in the food reserve request to Adeline to keep on that trend. I turned in some berries to Eliand. Those two are just so in sync, demanding food from me. I also turned in some salmon to Josephine. In all the hustle and bustle of turning things in, I almost forgot Ulrich's birthday, so I quickly secured a ruby and gave it to him. We hit one heart together as nature intended, but nature was not so kind when I was searching for tuna. I needed to make tuna sashimi for a quest, but suddenly the water all dried up and there was no fish to be seen. But at the end of the day, no fish is too powerful to resist the call to my rod, so I eventually caught one. I quickly turned that tuna into tuna sashimi and gave it to Tarithia, which means I've cleared out all the ongoing quests that I have. And you better believe I did some more donating before heading on over to bed. Another day, another harvest. I harvested my crops, some new ones at that, so naturally I went to the museum and donated the cabbage. I then couldn't resist going back to Ulrich and giving him a pipe. And this here, folks, is why hoarding pays off. I just had one laying around. Ignore the fact it was probably rotting in there, okay? It's the thought that counts. I did craft another chest. I feel even more qualified to do so now that Reese has shown me the art of the crafting bench. I headed on over to the mines and was able to make it a whole whopping 5 levels down before I had to surface for air. On my way back from my shift at the mines, I made some donations, crafted a copper pickaxe, and used said pickaxe to break the giant rock near the deep woods. After which, I circled back to the museum to finish the spring crop set. Can't sleep soundly these days without making a donation. I had every intention of shifting my focus to the mines, but then life just got in the way. I unlocked some perks for fishing and archaeology before picking up a quest for Elsie. Since I had the funds, I got a small coop blueprint and placed it down near my house. I just need the supplies to build it. Way easier said than done, but at least I could finish and turn in the quest I picked up for Elsie before heading on over to the mines. We don't need to talk about it, but I only made it down 2 whole levels before I ran out of energy. So to brighten my spirits, I donated to the museum and made sure to talk to everyone at the inn since it was another Friday night. Instead of donating before bed, I ended the day with some pond fishing. I woke up to the mill quest in the mail and a quest from Josephine. So I hopped on over to the inn where Josephine taught me how to cook some soup, and I really just love how the community gets involved. I love a community soup. Once again, I just talked to the market vendors without giving or buying anything. Looks like instead of giving, there was some taking since I went over to the manor, and oof, that's a lot of materials to restore a stinky mill. Well, in the meantime, I did donate some of my pond fish finds from the other night and then skipped on over to the mines. Hopefully I'll be able to skip on through some of those levels, which did end up happening as I made it down to level 10 before my mental and physical energy was spent. Taking some inspiration from Josephine's earlier cooking lesson, I did cook myself some meals, even though they don't really give me as much energy as I would ideally like. Kelderus came to me in the middle of the night. His mind is starting to clear. I'm not surprised it took him this long since his mind surely is very dusty. He is made of stone after all, and he knew I kept running out of energy because I now know how to use the full restore spell. Bright and early, Celine was at my door talking about the spring festival. I need to collect as many breath of spring flowers as possible. In my first playthrough, I came up short my first spring spring. Not this time, Celine. Watch your back. Nothing scarier than a girl with some goals. I picked up a noodle quest from Josephine and decided to focus my efforts on the mill restoration. I crafted 2 copper bars, replenished my crop field, and then dropped off the stone I had laying around into the mill bin. I made sure to drink a cup of free soup before furiously chopping down any tree in sight. Don't worry though, they'll grow back the next day. I got a bit of that magic water near the deep woods before heading back to the inn to buy some soup this time. With more energy, I chopped even more wood down before putting all the supplies I could in the donation box. I am making progress, but I still need some supplies. In preparation of all the energy I know I'll be spending in the future, I did end the day cooking some more trail mix. Rest is for the weak, because after attending to my humble farm, I was a girl on a mission who just so happened to be holding an axe. I cut down everything in sight. Luckily, only trees crossed my path, and I was able to collect enough wood for the mill. And okay, I found the rare orchid mantis on the way to the mines, but my luck was short-lived. I forgot my sword at home. Nevertheless, I persisted. I'll just ignore the monsters in the mines like I ignore the mental monsters in real life. I ate up all my trail mix in the process, but luckily I had a handy dandy new spell, so I just put it to the test and regained all that energy and HP back. I was able to make it to level 15. I thought about resurfacing, but decided to throw caution to the wind and continue my descent. I used up the last of my prepped food, but I luckily was able to score a deep root. I chowed down, and luck struck twice because there was another deep root on level 19, so I managed to have the strength and energy to make it to level 20 with no sword in sight. My sword that's back home, yeah, it's really big, just trust me, okay? Bigger, dare I say, than the supply of Breath of the Spring I managed to collect while dodging all those monsters in the mines. Unfortunately, I didn't leave the mines in time to make it home, and I know I'm gonna pay the price for that tomorrow. At least I reached copper rank at the end of the day. The luck just kept on coming, and I'm not complaining because the 16th was March's birthday, and I just so happened to find an extra perfect copper in the mines the night before, which is one of March's favorite gifts. Hopefully, he won't be mean to me though. I love getting that energy increase as a reward. I put the last bit of stone I needed for the mill in the donation bin. Now I just need some more money, and then that upgrade will be mine. All mine. Just like with his older brother, once I gave March his perfect gift, we reached 1 heart. In the giving spirit, I gave some berries to Errol. I then crafted a birdhouse and gave that to Val, and my gift-giving spirit paid off in more ways than one. I had enough money to finish the mill restoration, but first, I tracked down Eliand and talked to him about the mines since I can't advance any further right now. Then I headed on over to Adeline and turned in the supplies to refurbish the mill. I was going to fish in celebration, but I forgot my net, so I just redeemed some perks instead. The spring festival was upon us, and I hope my efforts will be enough to secure first place. But before my fate could be set in stone, I tended to my farm, and fate happened to be on my side because I came out victorious. I got first place. Those losers never stood a chance against me, but enough celebration. I bought some more seeds, then I crafted a potted plant and turned it into hemlock. Look at that man play. He's truly majestic. I donated a butterfly, thought you'd like to know, and then I popped in real quick to Hayden's since he requested my presence. After he showed me the ropes to ranching, I headed on over to the mines. I'm gonna need bigger pockets, which I could, as a matter of fact, actually get at this point. Like I said before, I just didn't know it yet. I was able to collect a few things I'll need to be able to advance to the next 20 levels of the mines. Now I just need a mushroom. The fog was lifted from my mind because this was the day I realized I could buy that backpack upgrade at the general store. It would have come in handy days ago, but I'm not perfect, okay? This is not a perfection run. I got some money from reaching a new town rank level, so I did have enough enough money for said upgrade. I then spent some time chopping down some trees for Reese and turning in those supplies to him. I did some pond fishing before I went back to the farm to unlock the remaining blacksmith perks and shift gears to beach fishing instead. You already know I made some donations before the end of the night. I was able to complete the spring ocean fish set in the process. On the 19th, I woke up to some mail for the next town project. But before I could focus on that, I did some fishing over at the river. Fishing just takes so much out of you physically and mentally, so I replenished my spirits with some free soup. You can never go wrong with free soup in my opinion. I donated what I could and finished the river fish set. I'm on a roll. So to continue this momentum, I met up with Adeline and Eliand for a bit of town cleanup. I'll mention it again. I just love that everyone here likes to work together. So of course, I then worked alone to finish the multi-season fish set. But I wasn't alone for long because I headed over to the inn for some Friday night conversations. After which, I chopped down some wood and then on my way home, I was confronted with the fact I forgot to replant some crops. Oops. Bright and early, I finished gathering the supplies I needed for my abandoned coop. I wasted no time buying a chicken. Gotta give my little chicken tender some love. I plucked a strawberry out of storage and handed it over to Eliand. I hope he won't mind. I definitely didn't store that strawberry properly. Since it was Saturday, I spent a little time talking to everyone before parking myself at the manor pond so I could work on getting that fish I needed for the spring pond set. Even with the longest day setting, it seems the day wasn't long enough to catch the fish I needed, so I scurried on home. And yes, I did remember to tuck my chicken back into its coop at night. The 21st was Luke's birthday, so I obviously gave him a bee. I also just so happened to get Luke's quest as well before I headed back to the pond to fish. Luckily, this day went more smoothly than yesterday because I got the last fish I needed to complete the pond spring fish set. While I was at it, I also completed the multi-season insect set as well. I then set my sights on doing some foraging. I really needed to find a moral for my collection, and spring is starting to wind down, so I'm getting a little nervous I won't be able to find one. I had been able to find a wild leek, so I turned that into Reyna before ending the day by crafting myself a copper axe. The long-awaited general store upgrade is here. This is what I thought I needed in order to upgrade my backpack for the first time, but that timing just felt so wrong. Now it feels so right. I got my grungy little hands on a roly-poly, and now I just need the rare Luna moth to complete my spring insect set, plus that legendary flower crown beetle. Ulrich must have a sixth sense or something because he requested stone. Stone I had just collected in my efforts to find a roly-poly, so you bet I wasted no time throwing those stones at him, I mean giving him the stone he requested. After which I ran to the general store and efforts for expansion have kicked off. I placed the stone I had and 4 copper bars into the bin, and then I spent my time chopping down lots of trees. Before I could rest though, I had to make a few donations. I completed the ancient artifact set in the process. The grind doesn't stop, and neither do I, because I'm right back at it chopping wood. And finally, I am put out of my wood chopping misery as I was able to collect enough wood for the general store upgrade. On my way back to chuck the wood in the bin, I picked up a berry quest for Elsie, and to the mines I descended. In all my efforts, I used up so much energy, I was once again using my restore spell. And yes, I got the mushroom I needed to be able to progress further into the mines. I donated and dropped off what I could. In the general store bin. Looks like I just need some more stone and iron ingots. With spring coming to a close soon, I am faced with a decision. I need the Luna moth for the spring insect collection. I could also spend some time looking for the rare lightning dragonfly and the legendary flower crown beetle. But I'm also working on the general store restoration. I cannot reach the level of iron ore, so iron ingots are in my future. If I want to have all the spring crops planted that I can, then the general store is the obvious way to go. go, in theory. But there's no set that requires a carrot or a pea, and it turns out I won't even have enough days to be able to plant a carrot in the first place. So the decision is kind of made for me. So bug hunting it is. Specifically, my first prey was the flower crown beetle, and oh, how I wish I had the legendary bug perk so bad, because I spent, I kid you not, 6 real life hours searching for this thing. I swear I thought it almost didn't exist, even though I have caught it before, but I persisted. Before the flower crown beetle could get away from me, I snatched it up and donated it and all the other bugs I had along with me, finishing the Upper Mines insect set. And would you look at that, I have 2 legendaries caught, only 3 more to go. I swear I better have that perk by the time it's time to hunt down the summer legendary bug, please. After that legendary feat, I brought all my offerings to the mines, and now iron is mine. But I didn't have time to waste in the mines. I quickly crafted a scarecrow before Calderus taught me the spell to summon rain, and then it was time for more bug hunting. Luckily, the Luna Moth is rare and not legendary, because it only took me about 30 minutes for it to spawn. But before I chucked that bug in the donation box, I made sure to give Errol the scarecrow he wanted, and then I finished off the spring insect set. Rise and shine. It was time to tend to my soul chicken before redeeming some essence for a few more perks. I forked over some shards to Eliand, and then I set my sights on looking for the moral I needed. I'm on a time crunch, but thank God I came across the lightning dragonfly without having to search for it. So that's another rare insect collected. I needed that after spending way too much time resetting the day to get that flower crown beetle. I donated what I could before heading to the mines to gather materials for the general store expansion. I was able to gather some iron, all while making it down to level 25. Level 25 on day 25, I once again set my sights on the moral mushroom on the 26th, but I came up empty-handed, so to the museum and mines I went. I only managed to make it down a few levels before I ran out of energy. Since I was there, I unlocked some of the perks that are redeemable in the mines, and then I hit the forge and made 5 iron bars. The only thing standing in my way to upgrading the general store is exactly 30 stones. I almost is the keyword here, forgot about Friday night at the inn, but I came to my senses and talked to everyone. I even turned some copper ore to March while I was at it. The 27th didn't start off any differently, as I still had that moral on the mind. I've only got 2 days left to find it. I picked up a shovel quest for Celine, and thank God Baylor was selling the mushroom at his cart, so you bet I forked over the money for that moral. With high spirits, I made sure to talk to everyone at the market, giving Hayden an egg while I was there. I do want to be able to go with someone to the Shooting Star Festival next month, so I better start getting some people to love me. While I was at it, I gave Celine the copper shovel she requested, which made it so I had enough money and materials for that general store upgrade. But before I could turn that in, I headed to the inn, bought the noodle recipe, cooked up some nudes, and then handed them over to Josephine. Satisfied with that, I turned in my supplies to Adeline, and we worked on upgrading the general store. I never noticed the addition to the exterior, but duh, that makes perfect sense. I now can buy more crops and a new backpack upgrade. I hadn't had enough excitement for the day, so I headed to the mines before I donated that moral mushroom to the museum, finishing off the spring forage set. I also forked over 5 monster shells to March before calling it a day. For the last day of spring, I got a letter to meet March at his house. I guess he's not happy to see his namesake's season come to an end. Before meeting March, I headed to the mines in search of the copper beetle for loot. I did end up finding a worm, but no beetle. But I did need that worm for a different request, so it was okay. On my way back, I stopped to the blacksmith to say hi to March, and then I handed over the worm to Terithia. I made some donations and was able to complete the Upper Mines forage set. Taking a look at my museum sets, I clearly need to work on my archaeology skills, but I'm not too pressed about that right now. I was able to get all the spring fish, but the same could not be said about the legendary fish. I wasn't able to get the legendary fish perk, so the spring legendary will have to wait for next year. It definitely would have probably been possible to get that perk in the spring, but but I would have had to halt all progress on the main story quests to get my level up to level 30. I'm really not mad about it. I also made it over 20 levels down in the mines and upgraded the general store while also getting a coop. I definitely could have done a little better turning in that food reserve quest earlier and maybe focusing more on fishing, but all in all, I do think I'm off to a strong start. With the summer season now upon me, I am very happy with the progress I just went over, like I just said, but I do think I'd like to focus on a few other things this season in addition to what I have been doing. I want to spend some more time focusing on animals, fishing, and even some friendships. I'm very good at getting quests and completing them. I love a good goal to accomplish, but it never hurts to be well-rounded. And so to be able to do all the things I dream of, I need to make money. So on my way to spend money, trust me, it will work out in the end. I gave Hayden a horse artifact I found the other day and made sure to donate on my way to deplete all my funds. Before I could do that, I crafted another chest, and let me tell you, I desperately needed that chest. I was throwing things everywhere because I didn't have enough storage, and I love to see it. The gossip quest is next on the docket. Spill the tea, Elsie, I beg of you. Before I could fill my head with gossip, I filled my pockets with seeds, buying at least 2 of each crop and 1 of each tree. And you better believe I planted all those seeds, did a bit of foraging since there is a lot of new forage to collect. And it was good I did because I found some pears and made sure to turn those into arrow. I then started my quest for the juiciest gossip, so I talked to Juniper, who told me to talk to Baylor, who told me to talk to Dell. Dell spilled the tea, and then I of course told this to Elsie. Now I can gossip with the girl once a day. I gave Luke a B, and then ended the day as every day should end, with donations. It was the Gossip Queen's birthday, so I needed to keep that in mind. Luckily, her birthday is in summer, so I had already foraged some roses, which she loves. I got a letter from Terithia to help repair the beach bridge. I guess my almost supernatural restoration abilities have been getting around town, so I headed on over to the beach to jumpstart the quest. And then I did even more donations. I've been leaving forage goods and artifacts all around town because my pockets are so small again. I need another backpack upgrade. Well, at least when I can spare the money, that is. Of course, I had a little gossip sesh with Elsie before giving her a rose. I then kept up this gift-giving initiative and gave Hayden an egg, and he was a good egg himself as we reached 2 hearts. I was once again back at it with my foraging initiative. In the hustle and bustle, I did some more donations and was able to finish the Eldarian artifact set as well as the summer flower set. And oops, I went back home but realized I hadn't actually donated everything I could, so I zoomed on back to the museum and was able to finish the summer forge set as well. On my way back home for the second time, I stumbled upon the rare magma beetle, and hey, I'm not complaining. It's not the summer legendary bug, but I will take it. Since we reached 2 hearts the other day, Hayden invited me to a little get together. I love a man who plans. I made sure to redeem some farming and archaeology perks before I gifted Hayden another egg and met him inside. Not wanting to shake things up, I did more foraging and even more donating, after which I used the mill to craft some ultimate small animal feed Hayden had requested. I turned that in and then shifting gears to chopping down wood, and I mean a lot of wood. I made sure to donate my supplies to the bridge repair, and I totally forgot my stone, only for me to find another magma beetle on my way to pick up the stone I had forgotten. With the stone donated, it looks like I'll just need some more wood. But before the night came to a close, I made sure to donate what I could to the museum, finishing off the beach insect set. And look, I hit rank Ruby! As a reward for my new rank, I received some iron in the mail. I remembered I had some summer seeds in storage, so I quickly planted those before picking up my energy increase reward. And then I put those iron bars to good use and crafted an iron axe. Now, before that iron axe could be put to good use itself, I gave a red mushroom to Juniper and then spent most of my time chopping down wood. I collected so much wood, I had enough to finish off the resource gathering for the bridge. Despite my mind being on this quest, I still made time to give Hayden another egg. 33rd was my first cucumber harvest. To celebrate, I crafted yet another chest and then put my new axe to good use yet again. I chopped down lots and lots of wood, only the finest wood for March because I used that to craft him a shipping bin. And let me tell you, that requires a lot of wood. Since it was Friday, I headed on over to the inn and oh, it looks like the villagers have switched up where they're sitting and oh, it is the first Friday of summer, so that does make sense. I did not lie when I said I typically skip through the dialogue, okay? And obviously don't pay too close of attention, I guess. I gave a pink shell to Mabel, gave March the shipping bin he wanted. Obviously, I had to give Hayden another egg, and then I turned in the beach bridge quest to Torithia, all in a day's work. But the day wasn't over, so I finished the night off with some more foraging. It was Vera's birthday on the 34th, so I headed on over to the market, chatted up the crowd, and then took advantage of Darcy's selection so I could buy Vera a gift. While it wasn't a loved gift, it was liked, so I bought the cranberry juice and gave it to Vera. Then I left the market to spend time in the mines. I was fighting for my life out there with my dusty sword and copper axe. I see a few upgrades in my future, but I have to work with what I have for now. I ended up having to use the full restore twice. I didn't plan the best, so I didn't bring any food, so the first spell was used to replenish my energy, and the second was more for health because I am still supporting cloth armor. But hey, at least I made it to level 30. I am making progress. I made sure to donate my findings to the museum, finishing off the Tide Caverns forage set in the process. As my first week of summer closes in, I know I haven't solely focused on some of my summer goals, as I had mentioned earlier, but I promise I have not forgotten about them. I just want to make sure I make some decent progress before I shift gears to animals and fishing. If I do say so myself, I have been pretty decent at the friendship aspect, even though I haven't been giving everyone gifts, but I do need to widen my friendship circle. I got a ton of recipes in the mail for shipping things, and whoa, the next quest is here already. Time to replenish the food reserves again. This town has an appetite like no other, but at least it works out for me because now I'm kind of forced to focus on animals. I just need to earn some more money. The town's been draining my money reserves, but they seem to be pretty good at it. To continue this theme of people taking things from me, I gave Celine the 5 coral she requested and gave Maple the sunflower she wanted. I then turned my focus to the mines to search for the copper beetle. I dream of the day I can clear out my quests, but I had no such luck because the beetle was evasive. Another day perhaps? Right away, I was searching for that last summer bug. I knew it looked like a beetle, and I feel like just going off the museum set, it was giving off a pink vibe to me. I was wrong on both accounts. Apparently, it was a sand bug, so no chance it would be caught on my farm, so just ignore that. Nothing to see here. After getting a little bit of a late start to the day, I did some foraging. I can never pass up a good forage session. During my expedition out, I stopped in the carpenter's and I'll need 2k for a barn. I guess that backpack upgrade will have to wait a little bit longer. Not that I have the funds for either right now. Completely shifting gears, I headed to the beach and did a bit of fishing, but I didn't have loads of energy, so my stint was short. Of course, I donated what I could to the museum and then ended the day by gossiping with Elsie on my way back to the farm. Wasting no time, on the 37th, I donated the 12 eggs I had on hand. Now I just need a cow. I gave some corn to my second favorite chicken, Henrietta, and then headed down to the beach in search of the sandbug. Luckily, it did not take long for one to spawn for me, so I decided to take this as a sign and stay put at the ocean to do some fishing. I donated my finds and finished the summer insect set in the process. I then proceeded to give Errol the clam he requested and gossiped with Elsie since she was right there. Before I called it quits for the night, I redeemed some more blacksmith perks. It was Baylor's birthday, but first I donated a watermelon I had just harvested to the museum to finish out the summer crop set. I then made sure to give Baylor a rose for his birthday. birthday. And I have to admit, I have been thinking Valen was a guy this whole time, but she is not. Goes to show you how much I actually do read the dialogue. And yes, I do remember Juniper calling her a woman, but I thought she was just being mean. I mean, Juniper is mean. But once again, since I was already at the beach, I did a bit of ocean fishing and then donated the fish I found and finished off the summer ocean fish set. I then set out to do the same for the river fish, so I did some river fishing. While I didn't catch all the river fish, I did donate what I found before the night was over. I started the 39th the very same way I ended the 38th, river fishing. After which, I did give Hayden an egg, and he was so sweet to give me some sugar. I then hopped over to the of course, we shared a gossip session before I donated the fish to finish the summer river fish set. Scurrying back to my farm, I placed down my barn real quick and then shifted gears to do some pond fishing. I only managed to catch one new fish, but I donated it anyway. And then before I could get a sound night of sleep, I made sure my barn was up and running. I can't wait to get some cows in this place. Another day spent fishing. I did some more pond fishing, trying to finish up the last of the summer fish I needed, besides the legendary. I talked to Hayden and we reached 3 hearts in the process. Since he was being such a good egg, I gave him an egg as a reward. I did a quick donation run and I only need one more pond fish before I could attempt to complete it. It was Friday, so you bet I had to talk to everyone at the inn. After having my fill of conversation, I made sure to grab some food and head on over to the manor to try and spawn the largest pond fish. I did this for a little while, entering and exiting the manor until finally the mammoth fish spawned. And woo, I'm so happy. So I wasted no time donating it and finishing the summer pond fish set. And with that, I have completed all the summer fish sets along with the foraging ones as well. I just need 2 more bugs and I'll be done with the summer museum sets. Landon sent me a request for some morning wood, but I had other priorities that early in the morning. I needed to buy my first cow. Say hi to Hamburger. Her name is totally not foreshadowing her future. Anyway, since it was market day, I gave Darcy the sugar Hayden gave me the other day and then just talked to everyone else as usual. I then turned in the tall, dark, and mysterious quest I had picked up right before the market, and if I'm being honest, I don't remember this scene at all. I then turned in my wood to Landon before I tried to find the flower crown beetle by smashing some rocks, but I had no such luck, so I shifted gears for just a minute to smelt some more iron ingots, which allowed me to make an iron pickaxe and sword. With my new tools, I smashed some more rocks around town and quickly was able to find the flower crown beetle. I donated the beetle right away, but this gave me a false sense of luck because I thought I might as well look for the legendary strobe lightning bug while I was at it. While it didn't quite take me 6 hours, it did take me about 1 real-life hour of constant resetting for it to finally spawn. But I guess I'll take that 1 hour over 6 any day. And you know what that means? I've collected all the summer-related items that I can. Don't mention the legendary fish, please. So that means I have the entire second half of the season to do as I please. The 42nd was Celine's birthday, so to celebrate, I went to her family's general store and bought myself a backpack upgrade. I also finally decided to craft a shovel. For some reason, I had been putting it off, but I need to be able to dig up some more spots for crops. To continue the celebration, I donated the dragonfly I caught yesterday, and look at all the progress I've made so far. Not too shabby if I say so myself. Putting my shovel to good use, I planted 1 singular tomato, and then I turned in the shadow flower Celine wanted while also giving her a birthday gift as well. Having had enough time above ground, I headed on over to the mines to progress further. I put my mining abilities to the test and got a lot of new things to donate, but even with my upgraded storage, I still ran out of space. A tale as old as time. I did end up having to use the full restore spell again because I do have the bad habit of forgetting to bring food, but at least I did make it to level 35 before it got too late. And yes, I did stop at the museum on my way back home. After attending to my farm chores, I gave Baylor the ruby he requested and then headed straight to the mines. I was able to make it down to level 40 before I resurfaced. I instinctually just went to the museum, but the horror! I had nothing to donate. So instead, I gave Juniper the monster core she requested and then turned in the quest to go deeper into the mines. And that's what I love to see. I already have everything I need to advance. The 44th is Josephine's birthday, so I celebrated in style, buying another cow milkshake. I then headed to the inn, cooked up some rose tea, and then gave the tea to Josephine as a gift. To keep up my gifting skills, I turned in some sap to Landon and randomly came across the speedy snail. But forget about the snail because I've got an offering to make. I offered up the items to move on to the next level of the mines and then plunged right in. I was able to make it down 10 levels to level 50. Of course, this time I had items to donate, so I didn't hesitate to lighten my pockets. And look at that, I learned the growth spell. Now that I think about it, I honestly don't think I've actually ever used the spell before. Since I had a growing collection of horse statues, I gave one to Hayden before sharing some gossip with Elsie about March, right in front of him. I hope he didn't overhear us. Then I went straight back to the mines. I ended up using a full restore, surprise, surprise, but I did get all the way down to level 55. Only 5 more levels to go, but before I left, I made sure to unlock some mining and combat perks. On my way out, I made some donations and finished the buried artifacts set. Even though it was no longer Josephine's birthday, I did give her 3 chili peppers she requested and gave Eliand the 3 eggs he likewise requested. But then it was time for me to get back at it with the mines. I was able to break my way through to level 60. You already know I made the donations I could, finishing the upper mines artifact set. And then I quickly found Juniper and oh, okay, this is the new content from the latest update. I see my progress has paid off, but Baylor needs some time to figure things out, so I might take this time to catch up on all those mine collections I haven't finished yet. While waiting for Baylor, he did request an emerald, so naturally I gave him one, but I didn't have much luck trying to finish the museum collections and clear out that copper beetle request. I went to the copper floors, but didn't find the beetle, and then when I went to some deeper floors, I didn't find the items I needed to advance further. So a bit of a disappointing day, but I have been making good progress, so I can't really complain in general. I did unlock all the available combat and mining perks, and even forged a silver pickaxe. I didn't have time to forge a silver sword or axe, and yes, I am still supporting my cloth armor. I think I'll see how long it takes till I finally die once without upgrading. But caught up in the mines, it slipped my mind it was Friday, so I doubled on back to the inn and made sure to talk to everyone. Baylor made quick progress and was ready to tell me what he found out about the scroll. Oh, that's a lot of supplies I'll need. But instead of hitting the mines, I gathered some gifts to give to the townsfolk. I talked to Eliand and gained 2 hearts with him, but I forgot to see if I could cook the wild berry pie for his birthday. Only I had a heart event with Raina as I walked into the inn, and she gave me the wild berry pie. How convenient. So I gifted Eliand the pie, turned in wild grapes to Hemlock, gave a bee to Luke, gave sugar to Darcy, gave Ulrich some perfect ore, gave a turnip to Adeline, a horse statue to Hayden, turned in watermelon to Mary, gave a hydrangea to Celine, and hardwood to Dozy. I then met Baylor in his room to jumpstart the next steps. Like I said, lots of supplies. I then had my 2-heart cutscene with Celine, and then forged a silver sword and axe. I wanted to spend some time fishing, so I camped out by the river by my house and gained another fishing level. To end the night, I put what I could in Baylor's chest. The gifts kept on giving as I gave Henrietta corn, Hayden another horse statue, Dozy some hardwood, Elsie a rose, then I had a cutscene with Eliand. Speaking of Eliand, I bought a wild berry pie at the inn and gave it to him. Then I gave a rose to Baylor, tulip to Adeline, and hydrangea to Celine. Since I was already at the beach, I did some ocean fishing, gaining another fishing level before it was time to turn in for the night. A piece of corn, and then gave her father Hayden another horse statue. I hit 4 hearts with Hayden. He's hook, line, and sinker. I was on a roll as I gave March a perfect ore and hit 3 hearts with him. I wasn't so lucky with Adeline after giving her a tulip, but I did reach 3 hearts with Celine after giving her a hydrangea. Having had enough socializing, I ran off to the mines trying to gather supplies for the mines advancement. I ended up finding a free piece of armor, so I'm not woefully unprepared to protect myself. Baby steps. As usual, I made sure to donate to the museum after my time in the mines. I was able to complete the Deep Earth insect set as well as the Deep Earth forage set set. On my way home, I dropped off some more emeralds at Baylor's cart. And with that, day 50 is over, and I'm officially halfway through the 100 days. I fear my main storyline progress has kind of come to a halt, but I can regret that later. The 51st was similar to the 50th. I gave Henrietta some corn, turned in some silver ore to March, and gave him some perfect silver ore as a gift. I gave Adeline a tulip, hardwood to Dozy, a rose to Elsie, a hydrangea to Celine, and a horse statue to Hayden. With my pockets lighter from all my gift giving, I headed over to the mines and was able to collect almost everything I needed to reach the lava levels. I just need that pesky artifact. I placed the last of the emeralds in Baylor's cart, so I just need more silver ingots now. But it was Nora's birthday, so I made sure to give her a gold coin, which pushed us into two-heart territory. I gave Raina the deep earthworm she requested, and then hit the forge to smelt the silver I would need for Baylor and for Adeline's request. Wasting no time, I turned in the silver sword to Adeline, and then placed 10 silver ingots in Baylor's bin. I couldn't forget to give Hayden a horse statue, so I quickly did that before turning my attention to the mines quest for Baylor. Speaking of the mines, I went straight back to the grind and was happy I was able to get my hands on the artifact I needed to advance further. Now I just need to wait for that scroll. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it back to my house in time before passing out at 2 a.m. Bright and early, Baylor was at my house to greet me, and now I'll be able to make it further into the last available 20 levels of the mines. I thought I finally had enough milk to make cheese, but I was so wrong. It takes 2 milk to make 1 cheese, and I don't think buying another cow will help me now, but I originally hadn't bought another cow because I didn't want one. I want to breed the 2 cows I have now, but for the sake of progress, I should have probably just bought another one. Oh well, I guess there's always next time. I headed over to the mines and made my offerings. Calderus stepped in, and human Calderus has made his appearance. Before meeting him in the deep woods, I unlocked more mining and combat perks, gave a cod to Raina, and then used the new Dragon's Breath spell to enter the deep woods and give Calderus a nice housewarming gift. On the 54th, it was Mabel's birthday, so obviously I gave her a birthday gift before forking over the ultimate animal feed to Baylor. I went ahead and used Dragon's Breath again, and I unlocked auto petters. Another mistake, I should have unlocked sprinklers, but nothing I can do about it now. While I was sorted nearby, I headed over to the beach to get the seaweed Valen requested, and then I found out my barn was too small to even use the auto petter. Like I said, I should have gone for the sprinklers, especially since I can reorganize my layout for fall. Mistakes were made, okay? I can admit that, but at least I didn't forget about Friday night at the inn, after which I did a little bit of fishing before redeeming those animal beads at the chicken statue. I got some gold milk, but I was hoping for that pudding recipe, but oh well, there's not much I can do about that either. I started the next day with a little fishing session before heading over to the bulletin board. There were 2 juniper quests. I remember the tide zone being tricky in my first playthrough, but I already have an extra one, so I'm already ahead in that department. I then went into another gift-giving frenzy, giving Adeline, Luke, Elsie, Darcy, Nora, Celine, and Holt a gift. It was market day, so it was just an easy time to give them gifts. I triggered the guinea pig scene, and oh, I forgot it's me. I'm the pig. Regardless, I continued my gift-giving efforts, giving Dozy hardwood and the tidestone. I gave a chocolate to March before hitting the deep woods. I fished and foraged about, reaching level 20 in the process. I might put a hold on getting the legendary fish perk, but we'll have to see. I finished the 55th off with some donations, finishing the deep woods forage set. It's the last day of summer, and it's also the Shooting Star Festival. Before the festivities could begin, there was cause for celebration on my farm. I was able to breed my cows. You know, I had to run to Hayden to gush about it, and I just so happened to give him the star brooch at the same time. Of course, he said yes. He had no other option. I don't want the villagers to feel left out, so I gave Baylor a rose, and then I took a quick intermission to get some cooking done. Then I gifted Holt, Adeline, Dozy, Elsie, Celine, Errol, and Luke. The day passes by so quickly on days like these, especially when I'm doing chores. I wanted to clean up my storage because it just wasn't organized in the least, but time was running out and I had some stars to see, so I'll have to continue my efforts tomorrow. tomorrow. I mean, my tools are in that mess, so I literally have to deal with it tomorrow, but I just hope he doesn't push me off the cliff. And oops, I forgot to put my animals in their barn and coop. My bad. With the summer season officially done, I'm not dissatisfied with my progress, but it definitely slowed down. I think I want to focus more on finishing quests, storylines, friendship, and overall leveling up my skills, and then winter will more so be for tying up loose ends. With the start of fall, I was falling and stumbling all over my terrible storage management, so I spent practically the whole day tackling that monstrosity. I did take a quick break to give Valen a birthday gift and, of course, plant all the new crops, but then it was right back to organizing. On the 58th, I turned in the silver ingots Elsie wanted and then did my first round of fall foraging, followed by some fall fishing. Of course, I made donations once my pockets were too full, but then it was right back to the forage grind. I was able to finish the fall forage set and all my hard work paid off because I reached iron rank. I never get tired of that sweet energy increase. I finally caved in and upgraded my worn watering can to a silver one. I'll be needing it for the lava levels. And I was dumb. There's no other way to put it. I thought the last river fish I needed was a big boy, so I spent time trying to get one to spawn. Spoiler alert, a giant fish in the fall for the river doesn't exist. At least I did manage to catch all the insects, finishing off the fall insect set. To keep up this happier momentum, I turned in some moon fruit to Eliand as well. The 60th was Landon's birthday, so I quickly gave him a gift before heading over to the river to try and get a fish that doesn't exist to spawn. It's embarrassing. I hate that you have to see me like this, but I do eventually get tired of coming up empty-handed, so I did do some ocean fishing and donated what I could before the end of the day. Since I was having better luck with ocean fishing, I headed right on back to the beach. Before I paused my fishing efforts for the day, I made sure to unlock the sprinkler before heading over to the inn for Friday night at the inn, where I gave Juniper the crystal she wanted and Dell the chestnuts. The Saturday market was back in town, so I took this time to give Luke, Landon, Adeline, March, Darcy, Holt, Celine, Elsie, Errol, Baylor, Nora, and Mary a gift. Also turned in the horns to Mary that she had requested. And then it was back to the painful fishing grind. This was when I realized I had been searching for something that didn't exist. So I was able to stop trying to spawn the fish and actually cast my line. Luckily, I caught the last river fish I was missing before the night was over. The next day, I made a quick donation run first thing, finishing the fall flower set and fall river fish set. I handed over the 4 rooster feathers Josephine wanted, and then switched gears to do some pond fishing. I ran out of energy in the middle of my fishing efforts, so I hopped on over to the bathhouse and regained all my energy back, but then it was straight back to the pond for me. After turning in some cranberries to Reese, I did some more ocean fishing, catching the last few fish I needed there in the process. I had to donate them so I could finish the fall fish ocean set, and then it was back to the pond fishing life for me once again. And at the end of the day, after doing my donations, it looks like I just need one more pond fish. Luckily for me, it's a harder fish to find, so that should be fun. Nora wanted an onion, so Nora got an onion, okay? Then it was time to focus on the mines. I want to feel like I'm at least accomplishing something as I wait for my slow cow to produce enough milk. I managed to make it to level 65, and you bet, on my way back from risking my life, I made sure to tuck my animals into the barn and coop because I do need that milk. My animals do love me despite my cow not giving me enough milk, so I had an accumulation of shiny beets. I decided to redeem them since I want that pudding recipe, but I came up empty-handed in that department. But I wasn't empty-handed when I made another donation run, completing the fall crop set. Then it was back to the mines. where I did reach level 70. My pockets were still overflowing with new items, so I made sure to make a donation run on my way home. Since gold is now the highest quality ore, I spent some time to forge a gold pickaxe and sword. Then I scurried over to Nora to give her a sweet potato. Having had enough time above ground, I went back to the mines and thankfully making very little progress in other aspects of the game. I'm looking at you, the second food reserve quest. I made it to level 80, which is the current bottom of the mines. I was able to donate my findings and completed the lava caves forage set. On a happier note, I was able to make 5 more cheeses on the 68th, so I turned in the food reserve 2 quest, and we will not be talking about how long it took to complete. I don't want to think about it. I mean, I feel like it literally did take a month, and I will have to live with that shame for the rest of my life. In other news, I turned in some bullhorns to Reese, and then talked the town up at the inn, where I gave March an armored bass, Josephine crystal berries, and Juniper some monster powder. I then took the time to forge a gold axe and fishing rod. I wasted no time putting that rod to good use at the pond, only I didn't catch the last pond fish I was looking for, unfortunately. I spent way too much time collecting gifts to give to everyone at the market. I gave Holt, Dell, Reese, Baylor, Raina, Hayden, Celine, Valen, Elsie, March, Adeline, Elians, Landon, Juniper, Lewis, and Mary each a gift respectively. I needed a break after that, but there was no time for rest as I turned in a mushroom tea to Darcy and then directed my attention to pond fishing, looking for a medium-sized fish only. I ran in and out of the manor and I was able to get a mist moth to show up during this, but then it was back to fishing. No white perch, but I was able to finish the rare insect set. I'm so relieved that I'm getting back on the main storyline quest grind. But first, a birthday gift to Holt is in order. Then it's time to get down to business. Since I had so much money, I bought most of the wood needed and then chopped the rest of the wood down. I wasted no time turning in those supplies. And then I turned in some cheese to Luke, a temple flower to Maple, and the upgrade supplies to Hayden's farm. The chicken statue has something against me because there is still no pudding recipe. And I ended the day with a fierce wind crashing through the town. Let's hope it's not another earthquake. Hayden lost his weather vane, and there's clearly no one else who could find it, so I'm the woman. Let the record show I found it in no time, okay? I was slow at finishing the last story quest, but this, oh, I was speedy. You never know, I might have ate one of those speedy snails. But finally, I unlocked Miss Mares. Oh, how I have missed you and your speed. I mean, watch me go, zooming all around. I'm unstoppable now. In record time, I gave Errol some iron armor and then focused on pond fishing yet again, and what felt like no time, I caught the white perch. Of course, I donated it and finished the fall pond fish set. Then, in celebration, I proceeded to buy a horse, sheep, duck, and rabbit. And oh, looks like I found another Miss Moth. I was hoping it would be the fairy bee, but I guess my good fortune had to run out sometime. Much of the morning of the 72nd was spent artifact hunting. I didn't really find much, so I finally put my sprinkler to good use and headed up to the deep woods. But again, I left with pockets lighter than I would like, but hey, at least I was able to make a donation. And I realized I made a huge mistake. I might as well restart my entire 100 days because I forgot Dosie's birthday. At least to make up for it the next day, I gave a ton of gifts to everyone. Celine, Dell, Luke, Holt, Nora, Adeline, Landon, Dozie, Errol, and Elsie. I then turned in a really round rock to Ulrich and some butter to Raina. I met Adeline at the inn to jumpstart the inn upgrades. And that's even more supplies. Good thing I'm a hoarder. I gathered what I had laying around and all I need was 2 pieces of glass and the 600 pieces of wood. So I began furiously chopping down wood, but I had a ton of money on hand, so I only chopped around 70 pieces before heading to the carpenter shop to buy the 2 pieces of glass and over 500 wood pieces I needed. In record time, I turned in the inn quest. Blame it on the magic of the town, okay? And look how fancy It is. I also managed to complete the Caldosian artifact set at the end of the day as well. After my usual farming tasks, I gave Maple the mullet she wanted. She rewarded me with chocolate, which I promptly gifted to March. Thanks, Maple. Then I went to the gold mines, where I was trying my very best to be a gold digger. In the literal sense, I need all the gold I can get so I can upgrade my tools. While I did collect a decent amount of gold, I also collected the last artifact to finish off the Lava Caves artifact set. Since I found a horse statue in the mines yesterday, I just had to give it to Hayden before I picked up some blackberries to turn into Elsie. I then forged a golden watering can and hoe. I'm slowly making my way to gold status. I then spent a lot of time gathering gifts since it was Friday. And you know what that means. Friday night at the inn. I gave Terithia, Adeline, Celine, Holt, Luke, Maple, March, Raina, Errol, Landon, Elsie, Reese, Josephine, Hemlock, Nora, Elian, Valen, Baylor, Ulrich, Dell, and Juniper gifts. Yes, it might as well have been Christmas because no one was left ungifted, and no one was left without having a conversation with me. And if you're thinking I forgot Dozy and Henrietta, you thought wrong. Think better next time. Of course, I talked and gave them their loved gifts. I'm not a monster. Just don't mention the fact I forgot Dozy's birthday and will be golden. What can I say? I've got a heart of gold. There's definitely no ulterior motive here. No way. It was purely out of the goodness of my heart that I spent way too much time gathering and giving gifts. I gave Hemlock, Luke, Raina, Maple, Landon, Darcy. I did take a brief break to buy a pudding. Errol, Baylor, Adeline, Terithia, Josephine, Juniper, Elsie, Holt, Eliand, and another intermission was taken here as I gave Eliand the pudding I had just bought, Mary, Celine, Dell, Dozy, and I finished it off with Henrietta. No villager was safe from me and my gifts. And then I turned my attention toward the mines. I went through the copper levels and finally found a copper beetle. I've had that quest for months. I started the 77th off with some artifact hunting, which was followed up by a quick donation run before shifting gears to focus on gathering forage and fish at the deep woods. My pockets were overflowing, so I had to leave tons of fish just decaying on the ground. I hope Calderus doesn't mind the smell. Of course, a gift before I continued my artifact run before once again heading on over to the deep woods to forage and fish again. No surprise that I was back at it again, scouring the land for more artifacts. I'm surprised the earthquake never unearthed some of these hidden artifacts now that I think about it. I turned in a lake trout to Holt and then went right back to my fishing efforts at the deep woods. I had only 2 more fish to catch and luckily it was raining, so I managed to snag them up and chuck them into the donation bin, where I was able to finish the deep woods fish set. Okay, so ideally, I would have waited to hunt for the next legendary bug when I unlocked the legendary bug perk. I mean, I am so close to unlocking it, like 2 levels away, but I don't want to risk it, so a bug hunting session at Sweetwater Farm is in order. And oof, I came across the speedy snail again. I don't know if that's good or bad luck. Hopefully, I won't have to spend hours and hours waiting for my next legendary encounter. Oh, looks like it was a good sign because my next reset had the fairy bee. Let's go! Only took about an hour this time. To celebrate, I turned in some thorn vines to Hayden and a striped bass to Eliand. You know by now, I donated the fairy bee and now I only have 1 legendary bug left. Then it was back to artifact hunting before organizing my ever-growing chest collection. Once again, I was hunting for missing artifacts before I took the time to level up my fishing skill. I'm at level 29, so I just need 1 more level to unlock the legendary fish perk. And yeah, I safely secured level 30 and wasted no time unlocking that perk. And it was like the town knew of my accomplishments because I leveled up to rank Sapphire at the end of the day. Right after unlocking the legendary fish perk, it was the right weather for the legendary fish to show up. So I'm sorry, Juniper, but your birthday celebration will have to be put on hold. Only it won't be on hold for very long. But first, I reached level 45 in farming, so I did unlock the legendary bug perk and grabbed my energy increase before catching the fall legendary fish on my second cast. Right after making that legendary catch, I gave Juniper her birthday gift and turned in the beetle Luke requested. requested. I went to the museum and completed the Upert, I think that's how you pronounce it, artifact set. And then it was time to give everyone a gift. Not just Juniper, okay? I gave March, Reyna, Maple, Luke, Hayden, Celine, Holt, Valen, Nora, Eliand, Reese, Elsie, Landon, Errol, Josephine, Hemlock, Terithia, Adeline, Dell, Baylor, Ulrich, and then Dozie a gift before taking donations again, completing the prehistoric artifact set. And no, I didn't forget Henrietta. I gave her a gift on my way to bed. I was not done with my gift-giving antics on the 83rd. I gathered my hoard of gifts, but there was just so much I couldn't take it all in one trip. So at the market, I gave Holt, Adeline, and Hayden, and woo! He's the first one to reach 6 hearts. I then turned in some broccoli to Reyna and some walnuts to Darcy before the gift giving continued with Darcy, Landon, Baylor, Luke, Errol, Juniper, Josephine, Elsie, Nora, Lewis, Valen, Elian, Dell, Celine, Reese, Maple, Terithia, and Dozie. I had to make a trip back home to pick up more gifts before continuing to gift Henrietta, Vera, Hemlock, Reyna, Mary, March, and Ulrich. I turned in a perch to Errol and then set my sights on doing some bug hunting at the deep woods. I've got the eye of a hawk. I saw something green in the corner of my eye, so I started swinging my bug net to and fro, and I was able to catch the singing katydid. So I dashed on over to the museum and completed the deep woods insect set. I woke up to the great news I unlocked bigger crown requests, which is needed because I feel like my town rank is moving a bit slow, and I believe I just need around 5 more levels to trigger the next and last storyline available for the time being. I ended up resetting the day so I could get the last artifact from Sweetwater Farm that I needed, so I could complete the Aldra artifact set. And I found a wild fairy bee. I guess that legendary perk really does work. I gave some gifts to some villagers who had the least hearts with me. Reyna, Hemlock, Juniper, Dozie, Josephine, Valen, Henrietta, Terithia, and Luke. I turned in milk to Reyna before heading on over to the mines to work on completing those sets. I started in the copper levels, and now I just need 1 more fish before I can move on to the iron levels. With that, fall has come to a close, and I'm optimistic that I'll be able to complete most of the sets. It might involve a bit of blood, sweat, and tears for those artifact sets, but I've come this far, I can't give up now. And it's the last month of the year, and there's simultaneously so much to do, but I also feel like things have slowed down a tiny bit. But it does look like I'll now be able to purchase an alpaca and a capybara. I'll be closer to collecting all the animal types like I had wanted. I made sure to buy and plant 2 of every crop and buy a little extra so my animals will love me. I did a bit of forage and some fish sessions for the new winter items, and I was able to finish the grass insect set. After donating, I headed on over to the complete opposite side of town and did more foraging over there. But then, at the end of that session, I was back at the museum to make even more donations, completing the winter forage set. To end the last first day of this 100 days, I spent my time doing some ocean fishing. There's a legendary fish nearby, so you bet I scurried on over to the beach and tempted fate by throwing my line in a school of fish. And it turns out that was the right decision because I caught the legendary snow fish. I dashed on over to donate that, so now I'm 2 down, 2 more to go with these legendary fish, but I won't be able to catch the last 2 within these 100 days. I also did manage to finish the winter flower set, vintage farm tool set, and winter ocean fish set. Then I shifted gears to fish in both the river and pond, depleting my energy in the process. First thing first, on the 87th, I had to buy an alpaca. The capybara will have to wait till I get more space. I hit level 30 in ranching, so only 10 more levels to reach 40, where I can unlock large barns and coops. I finally turned in the larger crops crown request to Adeline before giving Dell her birthday gift. Then I was back to the grind of fishing in the river, after which I made a quick donation run. Only 1 more river fish was needed, so I took my rod and went back to the grind, catching the last fish, which meant meant I completed the Winter River Fish set. And so that meant I could focus on pond fishing. So I set up camp at the pond by the manor and was able to catch 2 more of the fish I needed. Right before Hayden's eyes, I crafted the wood fences he requested and turned those into him. He gave me some chicken eggs, and I can't help but think he's regifting me these eggs from our earlier encounters. Either that, or he's literally giving me Henrietta's children. Anyway, Hayden wasn't the only one I had a quest for, so I gave Josephine some ice and sheep wool to Hemlock. Then it was time to focus on completing all those mine sets in the museum. Unfortunately for me, the fish I was looking for escaped my clutches and never ended up showing up. On the 89th, I wasted no time picking up my mine's efforts. But much like the other day, luck was not on my side, and I left empty-handed before turning in glowberries to Reese. Then it was right back to the mines. But again, I left empty-handed. While I was empty-handed though, the rest of the villagers could not say the same, as I gave everyone a gift at the inn. And I have to admit, I did almost forget Henrietta this time. She's out of the way, okay? Who can really blame me? But I saw the corn in my inventory and realized my mistake before it was too late. Saturday was another gift-giving day. I made sure no one, and I mean no one, not even the market vendors, left the day without a gift. I'm getting close to being at 6 hearts with more than just Hayden now. Before heading back to the mines, I did head on over to the deep woods and was able to dig up the last artifact needed for the museum. So I was able to finish the deep woods artifact set. Then my sights were set on the upper mines, where I finally found the fish I was looking for. I donated that, completing the upper mines fish set. Before heading down to the tide caves, where my luck continued, I was able to finish the Tide Caverns fish set as well. Okay, so the Animal Festival is coming up and I don't really know how I'll do. At this point, it's in fate's hands, so there's really not much I can do about it in the next couple days. However, I did take fate into my own hands, giving a diamond to Ulrich and then painstakingly crafting 6 tables and 12 chairs for my next big crown request. After depleting my wood resources, I went to build up my mine supplies as I headed to the Tide Caves, and luckily was able to find the last insect. I was on a roll and reached level 45 in mining, so you bet I unlocked the Ritual Chambers perk. Time is ticking, and I do need all 5 of those artifacts. The 92nd is a glorious snowy day, so it was time to hunt down 3 victims: the legendary snowball beetle, the last winter insect I need, and the last pondfish I need. The legendary bug perk just keeps on paying off because I was able to find that snowball beetle fairly quickly, and then I rushed on over to the pond. The last pondfish I needed put up a harder fight. It took way longer than I would have liked, but my skills left little room for the fish to resist my hook. Before turning my attention to the last bug I needed, I of course made the appropriate donations and finished the winter pond fish set and the legendary insect set as well. Oh, I guess I already caught the caterpillar I needed. I just hadn't donated it. Ignore that. But at least I found one on my way back from the museum, so I turned right back around and finished the winter insect set. I then turned in the crown request for the tables and chairs I shipped the other day, and another villager has hit 6 hearts. On top of that, the town is now rank 55, so the last available storyline quest will be mine. And I was right. There was a letter in the mail asking me to come to the mines. But first, Nora needed a breath of flame and Reese needed a smallmouth bass. Then it was time to hit the mines, and I did contemplate chopping down some wood, but I did have the money, so I just bought the wood instead and then turned in all the supplies needed. It was then time to turn in the quest to Adeline, and now I can craft some refined stone. But no time for celebration because it was time to once again risk my life in the mines. In all my efforts, I was able to find the last bug I needed and the last artifact. I donated them, finishing off the winter crop set, Tide Cavern insect set, and the Tide Cavern artifact set. The forage wing is now complete, so that's one less thing to worry about. But again, there wasn't enough time to soak in my success as I went straight back to the mines, finding the last artifact in the Deep Earth levels, which allowed me to finish the Deep Earth artifact set. The Animal Festival has arrived, and I just decided to go with my animals that had the most hearts, not necessarily the highest tier. I can't change my Miss Mare's appearance yet because we don't have enough hearts, so I am managing my expectations. On a day where I should be receiving rewards, I did decide to hand out gifts of my own. I made sure to give a gift to March, Landon, Terithia, Juniper, Hemlock, Dozy, Eliand, Errol, Adeline, Luke, Maple, Dell, Holt, Reese, and Elsie. I took a break to turn in some rabbit wool to Lewis and some horsehair to Mary, and then it was back to gifting. Baylor, Josephine, Valen, Mary, Ulrich, Henrietta, Lewis, and Nora. I did turn in some gold butter to Nora while I was at it, and then I noticed I forgot to give Raina a gift, so I made sure she didn't leave the festival empty-handed. Then it was time for the festival to actually take place, and okay, I'll take second place with my chicken, even if Josephine was too chicken herself to give me first place. And okay, that's just plain hurtful. Hamburger deserved better than third place. I mean, with a ranking like that, Hamburger won't just be her name. Anyway, inspired by all the animal vibes, I hopped on over to the Carpenters and bought another small coop so I could buy that capybara and get a female duck to lay a duck egg instead of just a duck feather. I now have one of each animal, fear me, and my horde of animals. With the remaining time in my day, I rearranged my house a little bit so it feels less like a house and more like a home. Baylor was selling some bristle, so even though I now have a capybara, I bought a handful of them just to give to Juniper and finish that quest. After turning that in, I turned in some rose hips to Valen and made sure to give Errol a birthday gift. Then it was time to get back to the mines. I headed down to the Deep Earth levels and was able to snag the last fish I needed, completing the Deep Earth fish set. Now the lava levels are the only levels left. I broke rock after rock after rock, and was able to get my hands on the last fish I needed here in the lava levels. Now I just need the diamond beetle and a perfect diamond. Hate to see that they're both not common. To bring up my spirits, I donated the fish, completing the lava levels fish set. After handing over an earth shroom to Terithia, I went straight back to the lava mines, where I remained empty-handed. No beetle or perfect diamond in sight. At least from all my mine efforts, I had enough gold to forge a gold bug net and shovel. Those were my gifts to myself, while I then gifted Ulrich, Juniper, Elsie, Valen, Landon, Adeline, Errol, Reese, Baylor, Nora, Terithia, Holt, Eliand, March, Raina, Hemlock, Josephine, Luke, Maple, Dell, Dozy, and Henrietta. By now, you know I don't let a good Saturday market go to waste, so I started on my mission to give everyone who did not have 6 hearts a gift. It was a labor of love, so I did take a break to give Juniper my first duck egg. But then it was time to get back to giving gifts, after which I made sure to turn in an iron ingot to March, and then I sprinted on over to the carpenter shop to buy my first house upgrade. It was an eventful day, so I guess it makes sense that when I went back to the mines, I was yet again without a beetle or diamond. Enough tending to what the town people want, I have a beetle and perfect diamond to find. Only I never came across either, so I was yet again empty-handed. But hey, on the bright side, I did find my first ritual chamber. My next focus was gathering the last 2 fish-related artifacts I needed, one from diving and one from fishing. So I went about diving for hours and hours, and life imitated art because I came up empty-handed yet again. I did just keep restarting the day over, and that took about another real-life hour for me to finally get my hands on the last artifact needed. You really can't say I'm not dedicated. That's one less artifact keeping me from 100%ing that artifact wing as I finished the sunken artifact set. On the historic day 100, I had every intention of it being a repeat of yesterday, with an hour or so of resets to get the fishing artifact. But but the game could sense it was day 100 and sent me all the good vibes, as I was able to finish the last fishing artifact within a couple hours in game. I zoomed on over to donate it, finishing off the aquatic artifact set. But then it was time to get right back to the mines. And I'm happy to say I wasn't empty-handed today. I'm sure you're tired of hearing me say that, as I did stumble across my second ritual chamber. As the next morning rolled around, it was time to get back to the mines. After countless days spent crushing rock after rock with no diamond beetle in sight, I finally was able to trap one right in the donation bin with you. I hope you don't suffocate in there. I don't know how frequently Errol empties the bin. In any case, at least I was able to finish the Lava Caves insect set, 100%ing the insect wing. All those days in the mines left me with a lot of gold. So I suited up to finally be armored in more than just some armor I found through scavenging the mines. Since I was there and March was there, I gifted him a gold bar, and good thing I did because we reached 6 hearts. Another villager down. I made sure to give Adeline a gift for her birthday. She wasn't as kind as March, something I thought I would never say because we're still at 5 hearts. Anyway, it was enough socializing. It was time to spend some time alone back in the mines. I strategically saved after I was done with those chores and socializing so I could just keep resetting the day to hopefully come across the perfect diamond. And I eventually did. Luckily, it only took a couple resets and then the perfect diamond was mine, allowing me to finish off, which leaves me with just the ritual artifacts to find. It was time to clear off some of my quests I had been neglecting, so I gathered supplies and gifts. But I then realized I needed a higher cooking level to make the bell tart. So to the kitchen I went and spent time cooking to get to level 26. But I still couldn't cook because I needed a higher level cooking station. Instead of focusing on that straight away, I caught a tilapia for Errol as he walked past me. Rude! He could have at least waited around for me. Have some decency, Errol. Regardless, I chucked the tilapia at him, turned in a snail and some iron to Dell. Lastly, I handed over some under seaweed for Tarithia before buying that kitchen and baking that tart, which, of course, I did turn into Holt. Then it was time for some serious gift giving. I gave a gift to Josephine, Raina, Holt, Eliand, Tarithia, Hemlock, Nora, Reese, Adeline, Landon, Valen, Ulrich, Juniper, Maple, Dell, Baylor, Dozy, and Henrietta. And it goes without saying, no gifts were given to people who already had 6 hearts, if you couldn't tell. I resumed these gift-giving tendencies in the morning, giving everyone a gift who was still not at 6 hearts. Holt was the only one who hit 6 hearts this day, but I'm hopeful everyone besides the market vendors will follow his lead before the end of the year. I turned in the mine's forageable crown request to Adeline and a burdock root to Nora. To try and complete a quest for Luke, I headed over to the deep woods for a second singing katydid. But would you be surprised to know I left empty-handed? Okay. Time to shift gears because on day 105, I had ritual chamber artifacts on my mind. So back to the mines it was. Pretty early on, I was lucky enough to find a ritual chamber and I thought I was having a big brain moment. I fear it was the exact opposite. I went back home, saved, and then headed back out to the mines to see if I could get a second chamber to spawn. Nothing was showing up. It was getting ridiculous. So I took a break in real life and yeah, I'm pretty sure only one ritual chamber spawns a day, so that's time I can't get back. So I changed up tactics and donated the artifact I did find for good measure and went and bought the second home upgrade. I forgot how many there were because I was like, why is only one room added to my house? Where's the other one? With what was left in the day, I headed on over to the deep woods in search of that singing katydid for Luke. I normally would recommend chopping down all the trees because that's what worked best for me, but I didn't have too many hours left in this day in particular, so I kept resetting until I finally found one. It did take longer than I would have liked to admit, but I caught it and that's all that matters. First thing on the morning of the 106th day was to give the singing katydid to loot. I then gifted Holt, Josephine, Eliand, and Dozy. I turned in the crown quest to ship 30 fish. See, hoarding is very useful. What did I tell you at the beginning? And then it was time to descend back to find those ritual chambers. If you pick level 25, crack enough rocks to make it to level 26, and repeat this until level 26 is a ritual chamber, the process really isn't painful at all. I found a ritual chamber in what felt like no time, but it was an artifact I already had, so I just reset the day, no matter how hard that hurt me. But I luckily found another ritual chamber with one of the artifacts I didn't have, so of course I donated it, which only leaves one more artifact to find. I then proceeded to give gifts to Nora, Reyna, Hemlock, Ulrich, Dell, Juniper, Maple, Valen, Reese, Henrietta, and Terithia. With not too much left to do in the day, I hopped over to the mines to get some more silver so I'd have enough silver bars for that last house upgrade. I began the day by giving Hemlock a birthday present, which sadly makes it official that Dozy was the only birthday I forgot. That stings. Anyway, I resumed my Santa spirit and gave Dell, Maple, Holt, Valen, and Landon a gift. I turned in wood to Landon before giving a gift to Josephine, Juniper, Dozy, Reyna, Baylor, Reese, and Terithia. Having had a decent-ish break from the mines, it was time to hunt for the final artifact. Once again, I came across a ritual chamber with an artifact I already had, so yet another reset for me. This chamber was playing a little hard to get, but eventually I found another chamber with that last artifact. I rushed over to the museum and donated it, finishing off the ritual artifact set. I have officially donated everything I can besides the spring and summer legendaries. But before I could put an end to this 107th day, I gave Ulrich and Nora a gift, turned in some of my gold ore to Baylor, and ended the night with a gift to Henrietta. I must have hit level 40 in ranching because I got the news I unlocked the large coop and barn. To celebrate, I gave a gift to Henrietta. She is a prize-winning chicken after all. I then continued this and gave Baylor, Nora, Josephine, Hemlock, Ulrich, Dozy, Valen, Juniper, Maple, Reyna, Landon, and Terithia gifts. I spent way too much time in the kitchen trying to increase my skills, and then once I turned up the heat a little too high, I switched over to raising my woodworking skill, even though I spent most of the time using stone instead of wood. So is it really woodworking? I guess so. I made sure to turn in a monster horn to Holt, and then I ended the day by fishing my woes away. Another day, another opportunity to get the town to love me. So I gave Nora, Josephine, Dozy, Reyna, Terithia, Landon, Ulrich, Hemlock, and Henrietta gifts. Many of them reached 6 hearts, so they'll never be getting another gift from me again. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. I just follow them. I went ahead and bought the 3rd house upgrade. I have just been buying the wood I need, by the way. I haven't been chopping it down. I feel like that's one of the things I have learned from this playthrough. Don't be afraid to just buy the wood you need. The remainder of the day was spent trying to raise my woodworking skill, which I got close to level 45, while my cooking skill needs a little bit more work. Baylor got an iron ingot in the morning, and then I was back to raising up my woodworking skill. Wait, I think it's called wood crafting. That sounds wrong to me, but anyway, I raised it to level 45 before switching focus to cooking. I was able to bring up my cooking level to 45 as well. To celebrate all my accomplishments, I gave Henrietta, Ulrich, Juniper, Valen, Landon, Hemlock, Josephine, and Dozy a gift before spending the rest of my day fishing. You better believe I was back at it giving Henrietta, Hemlock, Juniper, Ulrich, Lewis, Darcy, Vera, Mary, and Valen gifts. I was then able to clear quite a few quests out by giving monster fangs to Lewis, a radish to Vera, pomegranate juice to Vera, hay to Hayden, and a beet to Holt. I nearly forgot to give Dozy a gift, but don't you worry, I do not forget about them, okay? And then I splurged on a level 3 kitchen before ending the day with fishing yet again. We are finally here! It's the last day of year 1. So I made sure to give Henrietta, Dozy, and Juniper a gift. I handed over a miner's pickaxe to Ulrich, and then I purchased the large barn. I had to put my barn animals in daycare and then sort sort things out before they could come on home. And I finally got to put that auto petter to use after what felt like literal months. The coop animals admittedly were feeling a bit left out, so I did the same thing for them. They're now all in the same coop, but no auto petter for them. That took practically the entire day, but there's always time in the day to go fishing, so that's exactly what I did, which meant I ended year 1 on level 63, rank silver. All my skills but fishing, ranching, and combat were level 45, which I feel like is pretty good. Most of everyone has 6 hearts. I don't want to talk about the fact Dozy basically has 6 hearts. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm just going to count it as 6 hearts, but I never really had hopes for those market vendors to get up to 6 hearts, but this was kind of my stretch goal out of this, so any hearts is good to me. I was able to reach the bottom of the mines and finish all the available story quests. I still have some of those quests from villagers and those crown requests left, but there's really nothing major left to do. I basically finished off the museum. Like I said before, I just need those 2 legendary fish. I mean, yes, there is still a lot of things I could potentially do, like raise all my levels, get all those remaining perks I haven't unlocked, finish the legendary fish set, breed my animals, buy the farm upgrade, reach 6 hearts with the market vendors, automate things more, and I haven't even touched on decorating really, but I feel like a lot of what is left is just a lot of grinding work. I think it would be interesting to see how this scales once the game is fully released though, but I think it's safe to say you can accomplish most of the content within year 1, especially with the extended days, and if you put in some blood, sweat, and tears, and time. I put so many hours into grinding some of those museum sets. And I mean, I did accomplish most of what I set out to. I think I might have been a little ambitious with my goals, especially with the town rank. I honestly don't think that's possible to max that out in year 1 now that I've gone through it, but there's always the next 100 days, right? With that, I want to thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, comment down below that you yourself are a completionist for making it this far in the video and completing it. Subscribe if you like, and stay tuned for similar videos.